Have you heard of the Kumite?
Did you say kumite?
Uh-huh, the Kumite.
I want to talk about this because it's come to my attention through social media and all these other things that young guys nowadays fucking suck at dating. Like they suck. Like they think that Tinder and swiping and that's what dating's all about. And what I want to do today is try to help some of these young guys out and let them know that, you know, there's a lot more to it and you can do a lot better.
Young men, pay attention. Mike has the answers. He will get you to the promised land. Promise you.
And the truth is, I don't have an answer for shit. Really.
He'll get you panties come tumbling down.
I am not an expert on this shit, man. I was whack as fuck growing up. Like, dude, I could not get a girlfriend to save my life. And even now, you know, it's like, I look back and it's like, oh, I didn't do that bad. But dudes nowadays are freaking terrible. Like, there was no such thing as an incel when we were kids. Involuntary celibate, someone who just can't get laid at all. Like, what was that all about?
They are clueless. And I'm not going to give them any credit whatsoever because technology has definitely handicapped them. And let's face it, this generation, they have no gift of gab. You know, you've always heard the conversation rules the nation notion.
Conversation rules the nation.
And it's true, because if you don't know how to talk to a woman, because they like to be talked to, you know, and it's got to be a certain way, but at the same time, there's a certain criteria that has to be met. You've got to engage with them and keep them interested. And there's certain things you have to do to a woman, stimulate them not only physically but mentally, or you'll lose them like a set of car keys. You will. I mean, yeah, you got to be on your game, folks. And fellas, you know, you got to get off the apps and quit swiping and shit. And like me and Mike talked before we got on air, get out and mingle a little bit and meet people. And, you know, I don't think folks know how to talk to each other anymore, you know?
Yep. And that is commandment number 1.
Oh, we're starting with 1
of the 10 commandments of dating. Touch grass. Touch grass.
Gotta get out there.
Go outside, meet people in real life, say hi, be social, and actually introduce yourself, man. Stop being scared, man. Dating does not happen on an app, okay? It's not Tinder, it's not Plenty of Fish, it's not Bumble, it's none of that shit, man.
Plenty of Fish.
Yeah. You gotta talk to people, man. You got to go out. You gotta go to bars. You gotta go to clubs. You gotta go to the laundromat. You gotta go to the mall. You gotta meet people. You gotta talk to actual people and actually be social, man. Apps are not gonna do it for you.
You look at this when we were growing up, right? Okay, so I'm gonna age myself here, but going to the mall was a social activity. Had nothing to do with finances. Nothing to do. If I had $5 in my pocket, I was a rich guy in the mall. Because we just went for window shopping and women shopping.
Right.
And that was when I would go, I'd look at girls, they'd look back, there'd be a connection in eyesight, and then we'd share beeper numbers. There's that aging of me. But we'd share beeper numbers or, you know.
Harlowy again.
Yeah, no comment.
Page me.
Yes, we're mids. But that is one thing. Another thing that I'm looking at is I was told very young that you either dazzle with brilliance or you baffle with bullshit. And that either one counted. And that needs to, I mean, that is a true statement even today in many
the
areas.
latter.
Well, and you dazzle with brilliance. You speak truths, you speak facts, but then you can also baffle with bullshit.
If you're a good mix, though, I mean, that's where it's at.
That's exactly right.
When you dabble with bullshit, you lean into the catfish category, where that seems to be the term these days. But yeah, you got to have some kind of brilliance about you, you know, something that you're known for, the ability to hold conversation, something that interests you that maybe you can spark conversation with the other sex. And I think if you have a good mix of the two, you're going to find a woman that is going to be enamored of you. I mean, they're going to be interested in you if you have a good mix of both brilliance and bullshit. You got to have both.
But you got to do it in person too.
This is true.
You've got
Yes.
to do it in person. I mean,
But what are they looking for these days, though? Because this generation, you know, I don't want to sit there and just bash the what's this new generation called now?
Gen Z.
Okay, the Zers. Where you're right, everything is based on the seat of your couch, and that's where dating starts. And let's face facts. It's all based on looks, because when you're swiping, you're not going to go back and look at the woman that just didn't dazzle you with her looks. You're swiping and swiping, and you know, you hit the brakes and go, damn, she's pretty hot. And then it starts, you know, and then you reach and you go into her DMs or whatever, and you try to spark up some kind of relationship just based on a message that you get on your phone. Yeah, you're doomed from the get-go. And I think that's why relationships they're getting shittier and shittier, because it just starts off on the wrong
Well,
foot.
it's a superficial spark, is what it is.
Oh, yeah.
When you have that superficial spark,
Based on bullshit. Just
based on an app or swiping. When we were younger, and this is how it's worked for me in my entire life, I've been married 25 years happily, mostly happily.
we're going to touch on that for
Yes,
a second
we will.
here in just a
In a
minute,
little
because that's
bit.
awesome. That's, hey, pat yourself on the back, because 25 years with the same person, hell, 25 minutes, you know,
Nowadays is a lot.
is a lot to ask for.
But
But
that's-
kudos to you, because you know it can't. I'm sure it hadn't been easy.
It has not always been easy, but
Yeah.
it is something, and we can touch on that probably in another commandment. But that physical
Yeah,
spark,
We're still stuck on one.
we're still stuck on one, but that physical spark that happened between me and my wife happened in person, eye to eye, probably feet apart, not meters, not yards, not miles. It was feet apart. We were eye to eye. There was a physical spark there, and then there was physical contact. That's something that needs to happen in commandment number 1. Yes, you have to have conversation, but you have to be able to reach across the table, reach across, you know, the open space, and don't be afraid to have that minor physical touch. I'm not talking about, you know, squeezing the boob. I'm talking about, you know, grabbing the hand, holding it.
Mike
or,
wants to dive into that.
yeah, well, that's commandment 9 or something. But, you know, later down the road. But you have to have a non-superficial spark. You have to have that reality moment that says, you know what, I'm connecting with them on a whole different scale. We've lost that as a generation. So guys, girls, if you're listening, do it together. Meet person to person, have that conversation and that spark.
A lot of people have lost the ability to use their soft skills, and a lot of people don't know what that term is, but it's the ability to have conversation using your body language. You know, you'd lose all that starting off a relationship with an app, or, you know, just completely, you know, just sending a message via whatever, you know, platform you're using. But me and my lady, who've been together almost 12 years, we got together the old-fashioned way. I mean, we didn't join farms or anything, but we were actually introduced on a blind date. And anyone that's done those, you know, that can be a car wreck instantly. You know, blind dates they're nerve-wracking, because you don't, you know, but it was based on, you know, and my superficial ass, the person that hooked us up, I was like, yeah, I'm interested. Send me a picture. And I got the picture, and I base it off the picture, and then, yeah, let's make it happen. We'll meet, and, you know, hopefully things will kick off. But it was based on the picture that was sent to me.
Well, of course, she didn't want to go date Large Marge and, you know, set up on a blind date on that.
And when people say it's not based on looks, they're full of shit, because honestly, that initial thing that kicks off your brain about the other person is their look. Sadly, unless the person does it for you mentally right off the get-go, of course you'd have to meet them in person, you know, but it's usually based off looks. You know, if you see them attractive in any sort of way, you know, it's going to start from there.
But with attraction, you were able to have that conversation. With attraction,
Yeah.
even the initial attraction, and I'm sure she asked for the same. She probably was like, hey, she saw a picture of you. She saw something that was attractive that led to a conversation. Without that initial, okay, now once you have the conversation, I'm sure within 5 minutes of talking to her, your first, you know, moment of talking to her, you were probably like, hey,
Man,
I'm interested more.
I tell you what, that you know, I don't want to get too personal. She might be watching, but that first meeting, you know, and I wasn't the best off at the time. I was scraping by financially, you know. Oh my God. I don't know if you ever seen Half Baked when Dave Chappelle had to run through that date with pocket change. That was me just calculating in my head, like, oh shit, she wants a soda. You know, damn it. You know.
89 cents.
Right. And I'm deducting as I'm going. It's basically what it was for me. And I really had to, you know, extend the time and the date based on conversation, which has never been a problem for me. But yeah, that took some magic for real to make it appear that I was doing okay, because I wasn't. Now, gradually things got better, and I'm, you know, we are where we are now. But yeah, Mike's right. You got to get out. It starts with
Feet on the grass.
Yeah, being out there and
Touching grass.
Yeah, you put.
And one thing I want to throw out there is that my fiance now, I guarantee 1,000% that if we had encountered each other on Tinder or one of these apps, she would have swiped no on me. And that's just the reality, man. Those apps, they're not it, man. All they're going to do is lead you to depression. All they're going to do is lead you to sadness, man. What you got to do, you got to go out, meet people in person, talk to them, show them what your real personality is all about, and that's going to do a lot more for you. That's going to do a whole lot more for you.